Happening. Guess who I have here with me? I have someone super special and fun and playful, and he showed up without his shirt on. I wish he would have kept his shirt off. This is DJ Great Dane.
Okay.
Woohoo! What's up, my friend?
Yeah, it's another beautiful day in sunny California. I'm in LA. Sun is shining. I've been spending my entire day on Bitcoin. Bitcoin Twitter Spaces really. Cafe Bitcoin in the morning. Then we ran our own Toxicapier, my buddy Puppy and I, Pop Lord, and then I was listening into Swan Signal with Max Kaiser and Greg Foss. Great
Saw you.
people.
I saw you there. Oh my God, just big brain central, right?
There's some smart people there. Yeah.
Dude, I swear. Like, let's talk. Okay, so this is, this is Bitcoin Peace and Music. We're going to talk about love. We're going to talk about everything here. How did you get down this little rabbit hole? How long have you been like a Bitcoiner and
Yeah.
what's your jam? What's your story there?
Sure. So in 2016, my family was in US. I was in Dubai, so I had a lot of time on my hand. I felt we had very serious problems in society in terms of, back in the 60s, we were, in general, like US was killing it, the world was killing it. We had the middle class was booming, people were getting richer. They worked one job. One was taking care of the family, of the kids, usually the mom, of course. That was okay back then. Um, and But I felt there's a problem because that middle class has been wiped out. We're seeing poverty grow, even in countries like US, which is supposedly a rich country, right? Poverty
Mhm.
grows, homelessness grows. And I felt, there's a problem. What's the problem? So I knew there's a problem. I just didn't know what it was. So I was listening. I was like researching a lot, trying to understand because I want to, how can we fix this? And then I was watching YouTube videos, and my gut feeling is it's something to do with central banks because I heard people talk negative about them. So I really tried to understand, why are central banks a problem, and why is there a problem with the money? And then I realized that is the root of all evil. That they tell us, first of all, if you look up money in the dictionary, money can store value through time. Your hard labor and that in blood, sweat, and tears, you can store the value of that through time for your retirement, for your kids, etc., for next year even. But the biggest scam that exists, the biggest Ponzi that exists in this world is fiat currency, like the dollar, like the euro, that is backed by nothing. The scam exists in the fact that they have convinced people like my mother and so many other people, pretty much
Mhm.
everyone, that inflation is in our interest. They say that, hey, we got to stimulate the economy. We got to keep like printing money so everyone gets to keep a job. But guess what? The economy was doing way better before we went to a fiat currency. The founding fathers of United States were against central banking. That was introduced the sly way in 1913. Probably corruption. I don't know. I don't have the proof of that. But private banking, private rich families own the Federal Reserve. You can't audit it. That's the big scam.
Let's
Uh,
circle back for just 1 second, if you don't mind.
oh yeah, you asked me a question
The
in the beginning.
Okay. Well, no, auditing the Federal Reserve, that to me sounds like something that's a no-brainer that we should be doing as a government, as a country, as a society. That seems like we should be able to have that right, and it should be part of the process. Like a business, you would audit businesses and their balance sheets and their books and everything. Why wouldn't we be doing that with the Federal Reserve? Like, how the heck did this even get slipped in under the radar? This sounds absurd to me.
Yeah, it's absolutely, that's absurd. But I think, and correct me if I'm not answering your question. Those same families that benefit from central banking and theft of our savings also control the media. It's those same people, the elites. And I have nothing against rich people. I am all for capitalism. But
Yeah.
central banking is not capitalism. Central banking and a monetary system that works like that creates division. Um, so that's why they could get away with it. And by the way, the same year, U.S. also created the IRS. So we can start paying tax and pay off the debt that the government creates. But I ran a lot. So let me go back to your original question of my journey into Bitcoin. So I discovered this, or I came across it in 2016. Actually, originally, I read an article on Bitcoin in the summer of 2011. And of course, I'm shooting myself for not buying Bitcoin back then. So I had to
Yeah.
come past it in 2016. I was very busy. I was, and I at the time, 16, 17, I had to, I was moving from Dubai to US. So initially I didn't really have, I had to start all over here. I had a company in Dubai. Now starting here, I didn't, I couldn't go in as quickly as I wanted to, because I had a lot of cost here. And then the price just ran in 2017, but that's still early. Even if you buy November 17, you're still early. Um, so, but I
But
was
what's your
aware.
background? So what's your
Yeah.
business like? What's your mindset? You're going in from, you're in 2016, all what's your background where all of a sudden you're letting all that go and you're going to turn into this full-time Bitcoiner? Like what did you used to do?
So I'm educated within economics and
Okay.
strategy, leadership management. Not saying that I'm great at that, but that's what I studied.
Mhm.
And since I was a kid, since I was 4 or 5 years old, I'm like, I want to be financially independent. And it wasn't so that, oh, I can be rich and buy a Lamborghini. I mean, those are great things, that would be
Mhm.
nice one day. But it was to have my sovereignty so that others can't tell me to do things I don't want to do. I want to be, able to do the things I want to do. It's about not being, enslaved to someone else.
How old were
So
you when you had this? Like when did you develop this philosophy that like
I,
I want to
I,
be this independent fierce human.
yeah,
Don't fuck with me. Don't tell me what the heck to do.
I was a kid. I can't remember exactly 4, 5, 6 years old. My mother was worried that I was only like, I was talking about money, thinking about money. How can I make money? By the age of 11, I think I had 3 jobs and I had pocket money from home. I had 2 paper routes and I was working in the school library and I had pocket money and I bought my first stock when I was 12. The thing is, so my mother was worried, but I thought equally much, if not more, about girls. But you don't tell your mother about that, right? So, she was worried, but that was no reason to be worried. I had other things on my mind, but so I can't tell you the exact year, but I think in general, um, it's just something that is deep within me that I don't want to have rulers. I want to rule my own life. I
I
want to be
love that.
ungovernable, cooperate.
Ungovernable. No,
Yeah,
it seems like that is obviously, as you know, that's the ethos of this whole community. It's like, we want to be sovereign and independent and not governed by random people who certainly don't know us or have our best interests at heart or have
yeah,
the macro best interests at heart. And so I love it. Like I'm a new Bitcoiner. I'm only like a year new. Like last year was like my first kind of foray into all this. And of course I went down shitcoin land and then when I started listening to Alex Gladstein and started learning about all the human rights implications of Bitcoin. And I'm like, whoop, sign me up. I'm done with that. This is all I have to do in the rest of my life. Play some music and learn about Bitcoin and help people live their best lives and escape authoritarian regimes and feel free. Like and money, you can have all your philosophy all day long. If you don't have money, if you don't have sound money, your philosophy is not going to be able to be tangible and applicable to your everyday life. You're still going to, you might be all fluffy up here in our thoughts, but you still don't have your freedom, your true, this other layer of freedom in our lives. So that's exciting. Okay, so all right, so you're a rebel kid, you're an entrepreneur, you want to come and, live your own life on your terms. That's amazing. And so let's keep rocking and rolling. How did we get to the yes, Bitcoin is my jam? You
yeah.
know?
So, um, I didn't come to Bitcoin because at number go up technology. Actually, it wasn't for I'm looking for an investment. As I said like earlier, I felt we have a problem. Humanity has a problem. Something is wrong. And then through the teachings of others on especially YouTube, I learned that the monetary system is a problem, and it's central banking that is the problem, and we need real money, sound money.
Mhm.
And then one guy in one of those videos said, and that's why gold and Bitcoin is better. So this is back in 16. And because I was so focused and aware that we have a problem, I think that aha moment came very quickly within the first, I think, once you said Bitcoin, I'm like, I read about that in 2011. So that
Mm.
happened very quickly for me. Now, that's the answer because I was aware that there's a problem. And I keep saying that people only understand the reason for Bitcoin if they see that there is a problem. If you feel the world is fine and what's happening with World Economic Forum, IMF, central bank, if you don't see a problem and you got equity in your house because the interest rate is artificially low, so that goes up in value, then you won't understand that Bitcoin is a solution, and you don't see Bitcoin as something humanity needs. You only see it as, oh, that could be a good investment. But I came across it because I wanted to find like what's the problem, how can we solve it, and Satoshi Nakamoto already solved this. So I went, within 20 seconds, I'm like, yes, this is it. And then I went. So I had a company in Dubai, Media City at the time. Next morning, I jump into the office and I'm screaming to everyone, like, drop what you have in your hands. Bitcoin is the answer. We need Bitcoin. You got to buy Bitcoin. And that was kind of my journey. And then I was consuming Bitcoin content. Big shout out to Vortex, who was producing great content back then. I listened to Tone Vase, Jimmy Song, and they all steered me, on my path. And grateful for that. And yeah, then in 17, early 17, I think I started, tweeting about Bitcoin. And you have, everybody starts, near zero, and then, a retweet from Max Kaiser, like, oh my God, stuff like that. And yeah, it's a fun journey, the Bitcoin journey. It is.
It's definitely, and and you just nailed it over there too. Just like giving gratitude to all the teachers and the people who are so generous with their time and their wisdom and their expertise. Like obviously you spent the whole day on all the Twitter Spaces with all these like super OGs and new people. People who are really well versed on the macro and well versed on Bitcoin, and it's I've never seen anything like it, like ever. I haven't seen other than Burning Man. Have you ever been to Burning Man?
I heard about it. I'd love to try it. I'd
Oh,
love to.
dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if it's
Burning
still
Man.
good, if it's still sound money like and not gone fiat currency.
Uh, it's what you make it. Burning Man is definitely there's such interesting ethos. Their cultures are very parallel because it's very much about radical self responsibility, and you're the show. It's not like here I'm going to show up and you're someone else is the show and here's my ticket and I'm the bystander. It's like no, the more that you put into this, experience, this community experience out on the playa with now, they had it up to almost 80,000 people. Like, holy shit. The better it gets. Right. And obviously it keeps growing and growing and you have this, similar network effect kind of vibe. Right. But it's magical. I mean, you love music. It'll change your life.
Oh,
The people are top notch out there and really expressive and fun. So yeah, I started going in the late 90s and took a little break when I had my kids, and yeah, it was great. But we'll
nice.
go. We'll go. We'll get a Bitcoin Burning Man camp out there. That'll Bitcoin bit burners.
We should. We should. By the way, I know what whenever we're finished with this podcast or live stream, I'll be like, oh my God, there's so many things and points I wanted to get across, and I forgot to mention it. But I just want to say one thing I don't want to forget. Thank you so much for having me on. DJ Valerie. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm grateful. Thank you.
Of course, and you're so welcome, and thank you for taking time to talk with myself and whoever is going to be listening to this. Um, and like we said, we're going to have lots more. So this isn't this is going to be a long relationship of fun chit chatting and all
Yeah.
the good stuff. And so, okay, so you're in it. You're in it to win it. You're raising your hands in the office. Everybody, come on, let's rock on to Bitcoin now. Like, tell me what's life been like for you. Since then, like, what have you been up to? What are you doing that is, part of the Bitcoin world? What are you doing in your life with music? What's your jam with, the media and everything? What are you doing right now?
So I'm by heart very entrepreneurial. I think I started my first company around that age we were talking about earlier. Like when I was 12, I started cleaning windows for people. I created flyers and handed that, delivered them from house to house. Got
Mm-hmm.
some clients that way. I started my first internet company in 1996. It was a little bit the same experience. Like I read an article in a paper explaining what the internet was, and just like Bitcoin, it kind of, immediately I was like, whoa, this is going to be huge. The internet is actually going to be huge. I'm like, I got to work with this because this is the future. So I started an internet company in 1996, and I have worked with online marketing, and I had another internet company in Dubai. But I did realize that where I personally feel strong in terms of the ideas and what would be great when it comes to the execution, I kind of hit a my limitation in terms of scaling and being involved in everything and overthinking day-to-day decisions where where that can be a hindrance and slow down when you're running and expanding a company. It is great when it comes to something like investing, because like thinking a lot about it, having an idea of there's a paradigm shifting here. So while a lot of people think that, oh, but this is small, so it's not going to be big, to me it's like, well, the paradigm shifted, the rules are different now, new technology is here. I don't care if this thing is like so tiny, but understanding that the rules have changed, I'm like, okay, this tiny thing is going to be huge. In January 1999, so I started buying Yahoo stock in 1997, and
Wow.
in January 1999, when Google had been online for only 4.5 months, and they were so small and new that they still had an email address at the bottom of google.com. I'm like, this could be a threat to my big all-in Yahoo investment. Not big, but for me it was big. It was all in. So I wrote to the email and say, hey, how can I buy your stake in Google? I know you're not listed on the stock exchange, but like, which company owns the rights? How can I invest? And I got an email back. And again, they were still in Stanford. They were running on Stanford servers, I think. I got an email back saying, we just got a round of funding, so we're not, there's no opportunity right now, but I'll let you know in the future if there's any opportunities. That email was from Sergey Brin, the co-founder of Google. So I'm a little proud of that. Unfortunately, I never heard back from Sergey Brin, so I didn't get to buy Google until 2005 when they finally went IPO. But they were 10 employees back then.
Wow.
But what I want to say is, to me, Bitcoin is the biggest solution to by far the most and biggest problems for humanity. Unfortunately, most people don't understand this, but Bitcoin is sound money. Sound money fixes pretty much everything in society. And I am more convinced about Bitcoin now than I was about Google back then. Like this, what I'm saying is, to me, this is Bitcoin is a no-brainer, but you got to educate yourself. If people don't educate themselves on what is money, what is supposed to be the functionality of money, then you don't get to understand that Bitcoin is the best money the world has ever seen, and in fact has maximum like infinite maximum value on very, very important properties. So we are in a situation where you can't beat that. Bitcoin is the money that can't be beat
Yeah.
because you can't make it better, actually. And for that reason, the price, in my opinion, is a reflection of 8 billion people finding out that that is the case. We are going to $25 million per Bitcoin. We are going to $1 billion per Bitcoin, but we need, people need to find out. So the price is a reflection of people finding out. I ranted a little bit there. So did I answer your question or not? I'm not quite sure.
Yes, I love it, and thank you, and congrats on getting that email back, and bummer you didn't get in, but at least you got in '06, or is that no, when did you
Yeah,
get in?
yeah.
'06?
2005, they
5,
went
6.
IPO, and then
That's good.
I
But
started buying Google call options.
so clearly you're a visionary, you see the future, you obviously have an understanding of a problem in the world and, how to fix things, and obviously Bitcoin does that for our money. What do you see, like, um again, I'm still a new Bitcoiner. My ex-husband was a hedge fund manager. And so he's in the old fiat mindset, old fiat world. He's not, if you asked him what money was, I don't even know if he would answer it in the way that, we would answer it now as we understand it. What do you think is some of the biggest obstacles for getting, the mainstream normies on board to gently help them understand? Obviously, as maxis, it's kind of like, rah, like, let's go, we get it. Come on, come on, come on. But it's
Yeah,
also like, there's different audiences that have to have it spoken to differently from their lens, as a marketer, and you understand that, like, who's your target audience, how do they receive things, how are they going to understand who's the next round of humans that you think are the most important that we need to help get adoption for, so
right.
that we can scale this in a way that's meaningful and not going to, like, really cause more disruption and pain than necessary.
Right. So you had two questions there, I think. The first one was like, what's the obstacles we have to overcome? The
Mhm.
obstacles are, in my opinion, that the people that benefit from central banking are also the ones owning mass media, and
Mhm.
people are not questioning what they hear in mass media.
Right.
So that's one thing we're fighting. So what's the next people that will take us forward in terms of getting to a global Bitcoin standard? Well, I think what's happening in El Salvador right now is
Mhm.
obviously, I love it. It's really, really interesting. It's very beneficial to the people of El Salvador. And for those that don't know, El Salvador was the first country in the world that has adopted Bitcoin as legal tender, which means um, if you're a merchant in El Salvador, you have to accept either dollars or Bitcoin. And I know it may not be rolled out 100% yet, but they wanted to move quick to get people on this. So
Yeah.
that's happening. The rollout is happening. And they already, Max Kaiser said this several times today also, um, on Swan Signal and another podcast I heard him on, that El Salvador is benefiting tremendously in terms of both tourism, foreign investments, and everything. Crime is down. These, I can't verify myself, but this is what I'm hearing from several places. They're benefiting a lot. So it took 12 years for the first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. That was El Salvador. I believe it was in March or April that Central African Republic also adopted Bitcoin as legal tender. So that was 8 months. So, 12 years, 8 months. And what's been happening during the last 7 days or so in El Salvador is that
Mhm.
44 countries have been visiting El Salvador with a focus on how to have more inclusive financial system. 32 was central banks, 12 were financial authorities from these countries. So you have 44 countries from, let's say, like the bottom of the whole pyramid in terms of where our money in the world today, like, in terms of rich countries and less rich countries. And they no doubt are the ones that will benefit the most. So back to your question, like, what is the next things that are going to take us forward? I think it's historical what's happening in El Salvador. 44 countries now learning and experiment with Bitcoin as a store of value, as a medium of exchange, and they're transacting with Lightning Network and buying papusas. They went to Bitcoin Peach, and they're understanding, oh, you know, like they're understanding and seeing firsthand the advantages of Bitcoin as a monetary system. So I think that's historic, because I think we're gonna go, in terms of countries adopting Bitcoin as legal tender, one, too many. So we had one, that was El Salvador, two was Central African Republic, and many is probably gonna be, a bunch of these countries from the poorer parts of the world that don't benefit from having a trusted fiat currency that they can just dilute, and thereby stealing the savings of their people. So I think that's super exciting, and I think it's going to be hard from the IMF and the World Economic Forum to shoot down Bitcoin when you see more countries adopting it. And so I think that's the next step. But also, I remember what was your question before, which is what I'm doing in this space, and then I ran it off. Because I'm very passionate as a person. I'm very passionate about Bitcoin. So what happened in 2016? Because you asked me, what am I doing in this space, Bitcoin space? So what happened in 2016 was that 20-year or 21-year-old passion I had for internet and utilizing this new technology for the benefits of creating value for companies and for people. That was 100% overtook by Bitcoin. When I came across Bitcoin, I'm like, internet, sure, it's great, but I don't want to work. I'm not excited about online marketing anymore the same way as I'm excited about Bitcoin. So in 2017, I think it was the 1st of August, that time when Bitcoin Cash, aka B Trash, forked off from Bitcoin, the UASF, where SegWit was implemented, which has enabled the Lightning Network, which is that instant transaction, that what makes Bitcoin equally like a phenomenal medium of exchange, which absolutely kills that thought that fraudsters have been spreading in terms of, oh, it's slow and all this. Lightning Network solves that 100%. So what am I doing in this space? The 1st of August 2017, I launched that Meetup. And I think you have the URL. It's meetup.com/BitcoinLA. There you go. So I'm hosting a lot of meetups there. Right now, I'm doing it weekly. I had some personal or some challenges in my personal life here after coming to US, which meant I was very preoccupied in the years 18 and 19. Things happen in life. So therefore, I kind of took a break on the Meetup. I kicked it back to life beginning of this year, starting to pick up momentum, have some great Bitcoiners coming. They're on a regular I'm currently doing it on Wednesdays here in Westwood, Los Angeles. So that's one thing I'm doing. I spent, my main focus is with my good friend, Poppy, I call him. He goes at PopLordHodl on Twitter, where we do Twitter Spaces pretty much every single day, Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. PST, and we go for about 2-3 hours. We usually forget the time, and we talk about Bitcoin. Our concept is informal, take a piss out of each other, humor, but education. So Poppy and I got to know each other 4 or 5 years ago during the bear market of 18, and nobody wanted to talk Bitcoin with anyone because most people were there for the price and they left. So we were talking Bitcoin hours a week on the phone, and Poppy would he's off work early where he is on the East Coast, and he would go to the pub. That's why he's Pub Lord, and get some snacks and a nice cold draft beer, at least one. And so that was what we did for years. So when we started doing Toxic Happy Hour on YouTube, we felt this is great. and that's what I told Puppy. Look, we're having these great conversations. We felt, we personally benefited, like learn from each other. And I
Mhm.
said, I want to kick my YouTube channel back to life. Why don't we take these conversations and put them on YouTube and see if people, you know, like it or not? If I learn, other people might learn as well.
Yeah.
So that was the concept from the beginning of Toxic Happy Hour. We are informal. We're in the pub. We listen to some music in the background. We're having a beer. Sometimes it gets more rowdy and wild than others, but it's all that you're hanging with your friends, Bitcoiners, and talk about everything in life. But Bitcoin sound money is a denominator, really,
Yeah.
for so many things. So that's what we did with YouTube. We wanted to bring that on, and Puppy was sitting in the pub in the beginning. Until a lot of people complained about the background noise when we did the show on YouTube. He was having a beer, and I was having a beer or a vodka or bourbon at home, um, and we moved that kind of to Spaces. Twitter Spaces which is, for those that don't know, is a bit like it's like Clubhouse, but
Mhm.
on Twitter. And so integrated native on the Twitter platform, where the brightest people in Bitcoin are 99% of them, or a lot of them, are on Twitter. Um, so it's the same concept. It's informal. We want to have fun. We want to listen to some music. We want to talk about life. We want to talk about eating red meat and healthy habits. Exercise and all of it being Bitcoin. So we want to have fun and educate at the same time, and people are responding positively to that. And we love all the people that shout out to TC, for instance. We love all the people that come and contribute on the regular, and we have great conversations with them. We enjoy ourselves.
It's the best, right? I mean, I feel like
And
every
you.
com Thank you. And there's so much to learn. Like, that is like, we could literally talk 24/7 every, week of the year, and we still wouldn't be caught up on everything that's going on. We still wouldn't have all the data points. We still wouldn't have all the connections. It's just like, it's never ending. And so that's what I think is so interesting about this community. Like, you guys are like, cool, we're having these great conversations. We're learning. Let's share that with others. And hopefully people who like resonate with how we talk and what our jam is are going to, get elevated and educated from how we like to talk about Bitcoin and how we like to talk about life. Right. And so let me ask you this. So the word toxic, that's a big one for me. And I get it. I love the toxic maximalist mindset. And as a woman, fluffy girl, I'm sparkly girl over here. Like, I'm a sparkly maximalist. And
Yeah.
but I really, really like it. And I'm still pretty new to this. As I told you, I'm still like a little over a year and into this. So I'm still in my Bitcoin diapers, I'm a baby.
Bitcoin
um,
topper.
but you know, as I've learned, and once I had that, oh, I get it. Like, I really started appreciating so much more, like how intense the maxis are and why everybody's so intense and so just like, we have to guard this with our lives. Like, it matters. Like, this matters so much to the future of our children. This matters so much to the future of all of humanity and to Earth. Like, I really look at it as this, like, it's a life-saving technology, and it's a life-affirming technology for everybody that chooses to participate with it, and I think like you had said earlier, the powers that be, the IMF and the World Economic Forum and all the central banks, like they do control the mainstream media, and the mainstream media does have a vested interest in promoting that other agenda, right? And so part of what we have to do as a community is remember, like, okay, there's all these voices out there that get it, and now there's all these new people who need to start getting it. So how do we convey messages in a way that are authentic and verifiable? Like, go do your own research, don't trust us, do your homework. But like, the how do we keep that toxicity, that sparkliness of purism, um in all the different you know uh avatars, all the different humans who need it from their different voices. Cause like there's a lot of people that need to come listen to you. And there's a lot of people who may not because the word toxic is in your
Yeah. Yeah.
branding. And so that's kind of my, long way
Yeah.
around that question.
No,
So
no, that's good. So uh, maximalist and what I toximalist, as I happily call myself, it actually comes from Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum, the dictator of the Ethereum Foundation. And so he created these, to try and paint Bitcoin in a negative light. Oh, Bitcoiners, they're maximalists. They just want to have as much Bitcoin as possible. Like, why ended up buying my Ethereum and pumping my bags?
mhm.
So first he called us, maximalist, and then later he said we're so toxic because. And so here's the thing. And back when we did YouTube all the time, and by the way, we are relaunching our YouTube channel soon. Yeah. So we want to do both YouTube and Spaces. And so what I said in the intro every time, and I'm not been doing that on Spaces so much, but what I said in the intro every time is that toxic happier is, this is where we are toxic towards scams that delay the adoption of global sound money. So it's not about being toxic towards each other or toxic per se against other people necessarily, but we
Right.
are toxic towards the scams. And
Yeah.
when people are creating and peddling scams, we are toxic towards that whole thing. So and that includes Ethereum, many other coins, and also the people that are paid to peddle those. We can come across as toxic, but it's really because we want to save the people that are new in this space from enriching those guys instead of buying Bitcoin for themselves, which we all believe is going to be what that's going to benefit them long term. Scams won't benefit them.
Right.
Bitcoin will benefit them.
Right.
So
And it's like,
we're toxic with love.
yeah,
You know?
toxic with love. Well, and it's like the intention is pure, like you said. And so it's not just and again, words matter, and that word it's a trigger word for sure. And so it does need some context for certain people to understand that. You know what I mean? Um, and I totally agree with the philosophy. Like yesterday, I was posting something about, and you may know some answers to this too, because I'm still researching this. But Slim and I were talking about, how are we going to help him with this, the Tennessee to Texas tour and all that with the Beef Initiative and this Colorado event that's coming up. Um, and I'm just, and he was asking about some music for the tour and all that. And I was like, it'd be really great if we could, because this, it's like I can't sit here and go start playing my DJ music and my Spotify music and all my music on YouTube and on all this stuff. We'll get everything taken down. Um, and obviously their payment models are not great for the artists,
Right, right.
what is it like? I think it's every 10,000 plays they get $1 or something obscene, which I'm like, that's bullshit. And so obviously we have this new value for value model with podcasting, but I haven't seen anything yet that is comparable to a Spotify or Apple Music model that is over here, that really supports the artist in a way that, you still have the functionality of a Spotify where, I can click a song and then it pops up a whole new playlist if I wish for it to do that based on all that. So anyways, so I was kind of asking around on Twitter about, is anybody doing that yet? That makes sense. And so somebody had sent something back to me who's building on Stacks. Are you familiar with Stacks?
I heard it,
So
but I'm not
Stacks
very technical.
it's like a layer 2 on Bitcoin. And
Oh,
so
okay.
it's smart contracts on Bitcoin. And so, they're doing different things that you could do on all the other, protocols but they're doing it on a layer 2 on Bitcoin. And again, I'm not super technical either, but anyway, so he's doing this event that's, promoting the artists and music and building on Stacks and Bitcoin, but he's got, I'm not going to mention the names of the other companies, but they're not they're the ones that will be the distraction. And I'm like, why are you doing that? He's like, oh, you got to start somewhere. And I'm like, if you were a Bitcoin promoter and you're developing on stacks and you really want to grow this network, like, why would you pollute these artists who are not technical, who just want to go fucking make some songs or some art? Why would you waste their time, which is irreplaceable, and kind of promoting or sort of coddling them with like, you've got to meet them where they're at and let's just hang out and invite those. And I'm like, invite the artist, but don't invite the, like, don't have these other like protocol sponsor your event that's supposed to be promoting Bitcoin. You know what I mean? Like, so what do you think
Right.
about that kind of, I mean, because at the Bitcoin conference, there's obviously all these shitcoin casinos there. And I understand the difference between like, what's Bitcoin and what's everything else. But a lot of us new people, like a year ago, I wish I would have known, like, oh, I shouldn't be wasting my time here. So what do you think about like just strictly Bitcoin only events, or should we have these like, kind of hybrid events and then kind of nudge everybody over to Bitcoin? What's your philosophy there?
I prefer and I love Bitcoin only events.
Yeah.
And I write that in my Meetup as well, because since 2017, there were this push for like, hey, we can pay you to, talk about our, ICO or whatever. And I'm like, no, this is Bitcoin only. It's not for peddling others. So I love and prefer absolutely
Me too.
a Bitcoin only focus. And I know, so BitBlock Boom is coming up end of August in
Yeah.
Austin, Texas,
Yeah.
run by Gary Leland. And that I hope to make it there for the first time this year, end of August.
Nice.
And that is Bitcoin only, and it has a great reputation. Then there's going to be Pacific Bitcoin Conference in LA, I believe in Santa Monica, which is going to be November 10 and 11. Oh, and here's the thing, by the way. So if anybody wants to go to that, I'm throwing down a Toxic Happy Hour style pleb party the night before the conference starts. So that's Wednesday evening, and people can sign up to that. Exactly. Thank you for throwing that URL up there. So on that URL, people can sign up to my Meetup. It doesn't cost anything, and it's just to get a good. Because I've seen this now twice in Miami at the Bitcoin Magazine hosted Bitcoin conference last summer in Miami, April this year in Miami. That there's a pleb party the night before. Everyone can come. It's drinks, smiles, hugs, Bitcoin love for everyone. As you say, Bitcoin, peace, and music.
Mm.
So I want to do the same there and just create a good place for people to come and have a party before we start with the conference the next day on the Thursday.
I love it. And I think I'm hoping to get my butt over there too. I just, I got invited to DJ at another retreat in Mexico. So I don't know if
Cool.
because I definitely want to go to LA for this event. And 11/11 is an important day for me too. So I love November 11th, 11. 11's a good
Nice.
number. Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
yeah.
What
So
music do you play? What music do you play?
I play polka rap.
Polka rap? Polka rap. I never heard this before. I know rap. I love rap. What is polka rap? What is that?
It's my own genre. I made it up. No,
Okay,
I'm
okay.
kidding. I don't play polka
Okay.
rap, but I would if somebody made a polka rap song. I would rock the shit out of that. Um,
Awesome.
I play everything. Like I really like my musical taste. I'm like a rainbow, right? It's set and setting. Where are we at? Are we at a happy hour at 5 o'clock on a Sunday night? Indoors, or are we at a giant festival and a rave at 2 in the morning? Are we doing a meditation at 6 in the morning? It totally depends on, kind of the setting and time. I'm a very old school. I love old music. I love old rock and roll. I'm an old Deadhead, and I love the Stones and the Doors and all the 60s music. And I love electronic music, and I love Prince, and I love, psychedelic stuff. I love house music and breaks and trance and drum and bass and like, but
Awesome.
I love happy music. Like I love music that is I believe that, music obviously can get us into a certain state, a certain vibration. It can calm us down, it can get us high, it can get us, sexy, all those things, right? It's like medicine. And I always say, like, the music is the medicine and the DJ is the doctor. And right. And I believe we're
Yeah.
all DJs of our own life, right? And so we have this opportunity with this wonderful tool of music to kind of program ourselves and create this soundtrack for life. And so I think it's very important the kind of music that we choose, and I think it's important the lyrics that are in the music. And I'm an old, like, I used to listen to Motley Crue and Ozzy and Shout at the Devil, woo! And so it's sort of like funny that was like how I grew up, but it's like as I get a little older, I still love that music, but it's kind of like I want the programs that are being offered into my being, my psyche, my subconscious to be positive and uplifting and empowering, And so I'm very careful with the music that I play that is positive, right? And because a lot of times when people are at events with us as DJs, they're intoxicated or they're on drugs, and so they're like they're open, their
Yeah.
consciousness is open. And I feel like it's a big responsibility and duty and privilege to get to play and perform music for people. And I think it's important that we treat it with reverence and we treat it with respect, And so I definitely am conscious of how people's states are, and I'm hoping to be a part of enhancing that for them and making their lives a little bit better with the lyrics and the messaging that I choose. So yeah, that's kind of music I play.
Yeah. So
What
that's,
about you?
yeah. Yeah. No. So the similar kind, like you go very wide. I believe I do the same. So what I'm playing in our Twitter Spaces, that Toxic Happy Hour that Puppy and I do, is primarily house, rap,
Nice.
and old school music
Yeah.
as well, like the good old stuff, like you mentioned a lot of there, and so what happened to me last summer, I would say I became a quite spiritual person
Nice.
because at that Bitcoin conference in Miami, I was bombarded with good vibes, good energy,
Hmm.
love, love from Bitcoiners and all of us that are on the same positive mission of making this world a better place for humanity.
Yeah.
So that strong signal where it was all going on the same wavelength opened up my mind to energy, picking up energy,
Hmm.
understanding that my gut feeling picks this up and actually I can trust it.
Yeah.
um, when it comes to both people, like if a like very quickly if a person is a good person or not a good person, if they have
Yeah.
good intentions or if they don't, or if you're unsure, maybe you find out later. But it's, so for me, I feel that both in terms of people, also places, I I feel I pick up on that, and that change and that door opening in my mind happened, and in my heart happened in Miami last year. I would say so. And another thing, kind of what you were saying here, is it's music is very much about energy. It's about wavelengths.
Yep.
And when I was younger, and if I was at a party, I'm like, hey DJ, play this song. It's my favorite song. I want you to play this song. But the music I play in Toxic Happy Hour, it's I really try to match the energy we are at. What is the mood?
Yeah.
And you can't just play something that is not fitting with where are we at mentally and emotionally in right now.
Yeah.
And if I'm doing that right or not, other people will have to judge. But for me, it works. Sometimes we go down the old school
Yeah.
route, and we're playing 60s and 70s and 80s, and we're all digging that and loving it, and fist bumps in the space. And other times, it's house, or it's some rap music, hip hop. Um, so yeah,
I love
I'm
it.
Thank
how
you.
are you playing the music like in with Twitter Spaces or YouTube and not having any issues with copyright? How does that work for you guys? Because that's
Okay,
something I've
so
been like a
oh,
little hesitant because I'm like, I
yep.
don't want to get takedowns and all this stuff. So how do you guys manage that?
So on Twitter, I have experienced no problems. On YouTube, I actually think it's only if you monetize your channel, and
Oh,
we're gonna stop. We're not gonna do that on the new channel. We're not gonna want to have. I would rather play music
yeah.
than you don't make much anyway from ads in front of your videos. So I'd rather be able to play, especially our countdown video, which is I think phenomenal. To load the show as an intro, where there's a piece of music that got demonetized because it is copyrighted. So I would rather from now on not have ads, and then I can play. I think they won't have a problem with it, YouTube. I'll find out, but I don't think it's a problem. But on Twitter Spaces, um, there's there's no problem at all. Like I play music all the time, but I have not ever encountered Twitter of saying, "Hey, this is copyrighted." So
Awesome.
so
That's
it
really
works on
good.
Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like a, you know, each little platform has got their own way of navigating stuff. I interviewed somebody, I don't know if it was last week or the week before. Uh, his name's DJ Galaxy. He's awesome. He's on TikTok. And I have like not a ton of experience on TikTok, but somehow he showed up in my feed and I'm like, this guy's fucking awesome. And he just the way that he puts his content together, he's a really, really
Uh-huh.
good DJ, ultra high energy, super good vibes, but he's always just doing like, I mean, he's playing all this mainstream songs, and then he's
Hmm.
putting it on over to, to YouTube and everywhere. Or not, I don't know if he's on YouTube, on Instagram and everywhere. And I'm like, how do you not get takedowns? He's like, sometimes I do, but for the most part, I don't. And I'm like, okay. And he's got 1 million people like following him. So I'm
Right.
like, I guess we can do something. So what do you think about that? Like, what do you think is a fair, like, what's the vision for the future for getting artists paid fairly, helping them not have to put so much money in the middleman? I mean, you're a marketer, you're a media person. I mean, the reality is, as an artist, and I was telling you this, I think before we hit live, but like I don't like doing the editing. I don't like doing the marketing and promotion. I like sitting here talking with you, and thinking about cool stuff and let's go talk to people. But like doing all the nitty gritty of like really pushing content out there in the world, whether you're, Beyonce or whoever, it does take a marketing team. It does take somebody, and most people don't have like the budget necessarily as new artists to hire their own, in-house agents and marketing team and everything. So there are benefits to having some middlemen, but I think it's like what's going to be the 2.0 of how artists can get paid fairly, in
Right.
this value for value system, because even with value for value, you still have to promote yourself so that people know like, hey, go listen to my new song or my new, piece of art or my new podcast. Like, how do you think this new world is going to look for artists that's more fair?
Yeah. I think I think that the way artists are able to make money today is probably primarily from, I mean, they are paid royalties, of course, from music videos on TV and radio songs. We are not paying royalties. YouTube is not paying royalties. Well, that's not true. That's why there's a copyright problem. So YouTube is, but like on Twitter Space, no. But it's like also if you're going to a bar where they play music, that specifically is not paying the artists. I think the way that artists are making money today is by I got this trying to ignore this call, but it keeps ringing. I hope there's no sound coming through. It's
It's
through
tiny.
okay. It's through concerts and merchandise. So I think today a lot of the music might be um, free to some extent because
Hmm.
we can listen to it different ways, and we play it in spaces, etc. But concerts and merchandise and to some extent still royalties, I think probably is the way to that they can make money. But we consider a toxic happy hour for um, a a bit of a party, and people play music at parties, and what that does is maybe, yeah, there's no money in it from the record you put on, but
Mhm.
what there is I guess that you help build awareness and love for that artist, and then I hope that they can get income through concerts and merchandise, and still royalties from radio, TV, and YouTube as well, Spotify as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's the model with the what the artists actually receive on some of these platforms is a pittance, and I don't know if have you ever produced any music of your own, like your own originals work?
if no, I haven't, and honestly, so I okay, I'm just gonna unplug a couple of things here.
Okay. Mhm. Oops, you left. There you go. Do you want me to put you back? Oh, hi.
Yes,
Hello.
yes, please. Yeah. So
For those, yeah.
yeah, done,
Oh,
done.
done.
Um,
You're unplugged.
no. Yeah, no, I'm done with what I had to do. I'm back, full attention here. Um, Sorry, what was your question again? Apologize for that, but
No. It's okay. I think my
my
question is,
hand.
just dreamstorming a little bit in our entrepreneurial minds and our visionary artist minds. Um, the model that Spotify and Apple have, it's like, you have to have, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's obscene. You have to have like 10,000 plays a month per song to earn $1 or something ridiculous. It's so, like, wow, that's a lot of plays, and so how can our artists really be incentivized to continue to produce music, which takes, it's not as arduous as it used to be, where you had to go hire a studio and an engineer. Like, you can have your whole studio in your bedroom. Like I have, like, and I'm not some killer producer, but you can use Ableton and you can use all these softwares that, you can do a lot of the work yourself, but it's still
Yeah,
very, 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 very time intensive. And, you know, um,
you
I
can't.
want to see artists get paid better, and it is difficult. As I'm a mom and I can't go travel and tour the way that I used to as a DJ.
Yeah,
I mean, I could, but I'm choosing to be more close to my babies. And I want to see that people get what they deserve as artists, and
yeah,
that was kind of my question that I posted yesterday. But like his name's Blau, it's 3LAU. He's got a platform called Royal, and I think they're using Near Protocol on it, and that's kind of where this sort of came in, because I'm like, I like what he's up to, but they're not building it on top of a solid foundation like with Bitcoin and Stacks and Lightning, and so. Um, I don't want to see artists get all excited and go down this rabbit hole of building stuff on shit that's going to get washed away with the next big tide, like a sandcastle. It's just like, build over here. And do we need blockchain technology? Like, do we need Bitcoin to actually have a fair royalty system for artists? Or can we do it with the old way that things are? Does that make sense?
yeah. So to be honest, even though I'm trying to answer it and saying concerts and merchandise and everything, I probably don't have the answer. So I'm maybe not the right person to ask. But I guess it's hard to monetize your music if you're not a big name. If you're a
Yeah.
big name, you can monetize your music. Otherwise, I don't think there's any money in music. It's going to be hard. And how to do that, I just don't know. Um,
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think of just up and coming artists and performers and people who are so passionate. I mean, I like the whole idea of like the Patreon model,
Yeah.
You can have a membership, and you can get a monthly meetup with somebody that's private, or it's coaching, or whatever it is. People are adding different opportunities to have behind the scenes exposure and interaction with their favorite artists. So I think that's a cool model. But again, it still comes back to the, like, a lot of artists are really great at being artists, but they're terrible business people. They're terrible marketers. They're not out there saying, "Oh, I'm going to go set up this, this marketing campaign, or this Patreon thing." So I just kind of feel I just want to help promote really good music and help people keep their money and their earnings and royalties in a way that makes sense. So it's just kind of a little. I'm just wanting to know if anybody's doing stuff like that out there that is sustainable on a good platform.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have a better answer, but also let's just highlight the fact that I'm not really a professional DJ. Uh, I play music in our Twitter space. That's where it started, and that's just last year. And then for fun, because I was playing music all the time, I wrote DJ Danish Hodl as my name on Twitter in my handle, and then I said, yeah, but I'm not really a DJ, and someone pushed back and said, but what does a DJ do? Well, I said, play
Exactly.
music. Anders, you were playing music, so you're a DJ. And so just to like kind of put myself into perspective there, that's what I do. I play music. I love music, always loved music. It speaks to your emotion. I think it's like that for everyone, right?
Yeah.
And can put you in a mood, and it can certainly enhance happiness, and let's go and party and everything. um but I don't have experience as a professional DJ making my own music. So I can't help you on that, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
That's okay. But you're a marketer and you're a businessman, an entrepreneur, and you have that mindset. So I'm always, you know, this is where innovation happens. Is it's like if you're always staying in your lane and asking questions to the same people in that lane, you're not going to grow. Like you have to cross pollinate questions in order to cultivate that innovation. That I believe.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
um, so I'm always asking different people questions that maybe don't seem exactly relevant. You never know what kind of new answer you're going to get, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I think it's great. What do you so okay, so circling back to the question that I'd asked you earlier about how do we the next round of adoption. Right now obviously we're having this little crab experience with price
Yeah.
action, and how do we reach the people that need to be reached the most, that are going to help, move the needle forward quicker? Because I believe, like you said, we have a battle. Like we have a huge battle with mainstream media and all the messaging and bullshit that's out there. And so how do we, uh, help? It's one thing like, yeah, orange pilled somebody today, or I did one thing today. It's like, that's good. And I think personally, we need to do a lot more. Like, how do we do that?
True. So you're saying we're battling with mainstream media. I absolutely agree. They're running with the current system
Hmm.
and central banking. That's what they support, partly basically owned by the people benefiting from that. But I would say we're still winning, and we're winning every single day, because compound interest and exponential growth is so powerful. Jeff Booth wrote about that in his book, The Price of Tomorrow. I love that guy.
Love that.
And basically, uh, you know, someone orange pilled me in 2016 when I saw a video, and because I was looking for this solution to the destruction of the middle class and the increase of poverty. So that person helped orange pill me, and then I went down the rabbit hole. Vortex, a lot of these guys, was great education for me. And so someone orange pill me, you could say several different people, and I orange pill other people, and I know a lot of the people I've orange pill, then they orange pill other people. So it is a snowball. It is unstoppable. Yes, it's great if we do more, but I don't know if we can do more, because it's already one big orange snowball running down the mountain, and it's unstoppable. we are becoming more and more Bitcoiners pretty much every single day. Yes,
Yeah.
it happens faster when the price goes up. I get it. But every single day, another solid Bitcoiner who understands the power of sound money and that you want to own that is created. And sooner or later, that person creates another one. So it's we don't necessarily need to do anything with apart from what we're doing already, spreading the word, with meetups, with Twitter, with YouTube. Um, I think most of us talk to Uber drivers as well. When we're in an Uber, you create the, all conversations lead to Bitcoin one way or another if you want, you
They
know.
do.
So I was,
How have your relationships changed since you've become a Bitcoiner? How have your, how's your family life? How's your love life? How's your business life? Like, how's everything shifted for you before Bitcoin, after Bitcoin?
um, okay, so Bitcoin has probably, I mean, overall, it's very, very positive, no doubt. But also, it has caused an issue in a previous relationship. Um, and Yeah, I'm just thinking, how much detail should or should I not go into? But if someone is not aboard with that, it is a very, we have a very strong opinion about Bitcoin because we believe we have found truth,
Yep.
and then it's very hard to accept a world built on lies afterwards.
Yep.
So that was definitely part of of um, of one relationship ending there for sure. But it's put me in a much better space personally. I feel a lot better about pretty much everything. And as Michael Saylor says, it gives hope. Bitcoin gives hope. So, and then very importantly, and back to Miami last year and on Twitter in general,
Mhm.
this this passion for Bitcoin and wanting to do good, there's so many of us now.
Yeah.
We met recently, and thank you for joining our space and participating. That was fun,
Yeah.
and those friendships now, like are real strong, and positive friendships with fellow Bitcoiners. Uh, I think there's some people say, you make your friends maybe as your kid or teenager, you go to college or university or whatever, and then sometimes it can be hard to find friends later in life. Not with Bitcoin and Bitcoiners, because we are the tinfoil hats that are saying
Mhm.
no. What you believe and what you've been told, I want to shine a light on why it's not true. And then some people are open to that and some not. But we are like this little, crazy bunch of people in the corner still in the corner. We're expanding. Wait, it's going this
Mhm.
way. Um, and Real friendships are being built amongst Bitcoiners. So very positive influence, I would say overall. Very happy, and it's helping. It has helped me get rid of toxicity and have more love into my life. It's a great positive thing, and I'm on a mission that is worth fighting for.
It is. I love hearing that, and you're right. It's like we're all mission driven. Like everybody who I've encountered so far in this community, it's like the minute you're like, oh, I'm a Bitcoiner. Oh, here, come over, have tea at my house, or I trust you. Like we're high five, we're friends now. Like it's a no brainer once because it's like it is. It opens up this doorway to this possible future, and it is hope, and it is like something that's not. Yeah, number go up, great, sure, but it really is an opportunity for humanity to have a chance together, not being controlled. And so I think that's an attractive proposition. And when you have like a big heart and you're somebody who cares, like you're magnetized towards that. And so then we're magnetized towards each other as Bitcoiners. And that's something really, it is special. And it does, I think, open our hearts a lot more as people. And especially learning about, I mean, I thought like, oh, I have a business background, accounting and all that. I worked at Deloitte and Touche. Oh my God. That was decades ago. But um, I thought I kind of understood the economy, and I thought I understood finance, and I thought I understood what it meant to live in another world. Like, even though I wasn't living in extreme poverty and I wasn't living under an authoritarian regime. But once I discovered Bitcoin, I was like, holy shit, like this whole system is so rigged, and it's such a disaster. And it seems like the Bitcoiners are like the Avengers and the superheroes that come together, that everybody's invited to become one. It's not exclusive, right? And that to me is it's such a powerful proposition. And I'm just, every day I wake up, I'm like, I can't wait to go talk to people and meet people and do something. And what can I do to participate and help make this better? Like, this is finally the tool that we get, And so I love meeting people like you and talking and just learning your story, and like, yay, woohoo, big hearts. So good. But, right, like the losing, relationships, especially if they're intimate relationships or marriages and families, like, the number one cause of divorce is money. It's people fighting over money issues, right? And so how can we
And then
help?
imagine you're fighting about that, and then one partner goes, "It's all Bitcoin.
Right.
It's Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin only. It's all in or nothing. Ride or
Right.
die." So
Totally.
so
And
that
then
that
the tin hat's falling off as you're trying to say that to your
uh,
partner, and they're just like, oh my God, and obviously each relationship is going to go through those types of things very differently. So what would you say to uh to couples, to people who are in couplehood, who are interested in exploring Bitcoin, and how to present it in a way with their partners that would be uh gentle, so that they can, come on over here on board, right? I mean, I know it's not an easy, everyone's different, but I just feel like it is an important thing for families and couples and people to do together. And I'm struggling with that
yeah,
myself, like with my ex and with my kids, because I'm got the crazy hat on and they think I'm a lunatic. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Um, so what would your, you know what would your words of wisdom be, maybe, to try to help people through that process?
I have one word for that: education.
Mm,
Um, let's make that self-education. So I think for couples or individuals, for everyone, what's really, really important is, let's just focus on couples because that's what you brought up.
mhm,
That that both spend time on trying to understand, wait, what is this whole money thing anyway? What is the concept of money? Try to
mhm,
look at history and understand why gold was money, and then understand what happened when they took us off the gold standard. And fiat currency per definition is not money, as I said, in the very beginning, that money, look it up in the dictionary, can store value and you can take it with you throughout time. You can't do that with fiat currency. It has a built-in policy of destroying the value of your savings, and they managed to convince everyone that's a good idea. Obviously it's not.
yeah,
So I would say, if people educate themselves, please try to keep an open mind. And there's so many good educational resources out there. Poppy and I try and do what we can to help with that. But by God, there's people way smarter, way better, that are doing a phenomenal job. Start with Bitcoin Twitter, because that's where you find a lot of resources of Bitcoiners. And so if people are willing to spend their time, I think most people will get to um, we'll we'll start to understand what money is and what Bitcoin is, and we'll come to the understanding um, that, hey, it might be a good idea to own some of the best money the world has ever seen. Because if you have only one doing that and the other not, and then there's a conflict.
yeah,
But self education, seek help. Reach out. Bitcoiners always want to help.
yeah,
Spend free time to help others, because we're on a mission for humanity.
Yeah.
And then I think if you have both people understanding it, being willing to understand it, it demands willingness to understand. It also demands proof of work. You got to put in some effort,
Yeah.
and then uh, both people in a couple can understand it, and then work together in what is the right allocation to Bitcoin for us. um, you know and then hopefully people can find out. And I think, by the way, that fiat currency system, as you said very, very rightly, that money is one of the biggest causes of conflict and divorce. Funny, when you look at the divorce numbers, they've really gone through the roof since we went on a fiat currency standard, since Nixon
Mm.
in 1971 removed the last piece of gold backing. Now it's just pieces of paper, so they can destroy the value of it even faster because they don't have to exchange it for gold or anything. It has just caused so many financial problems for normal families, especially people at the bottom of society.
Yeah.
Um, and that has caused so much more divorces, I have no doubt of. And for that reason, Bitcoin can help with that, because that's the exact solution to the cause of so many divorces: money, lacking money. Well, what you're lacking is purchasing power, because the Federal Reserve and other central banks stole it from you, because they
Yeah.
diluted it. Why do we have petrol now reaching above $7 some places in the United States? It's not because of Putin. It's because they have
Mhm.
doubled the amount of money outstanding. Like they printed so much dollars since COVID that it's finally spilling in to the prices of everything: meat, petrol, cars, everything. And all the pain it has caused: suicides, divorces, domestic violence, abuse, sound money, which Bitcoin is the best of we've ever seen. And in fact, as I said earlier, it's actually it's so close to being perfect. The last little bit about privacy
Mhm.
is being solved. It's basically perfect and can't be made better. And because of that, it is the final money, the way I see it, at least for thousands of years, in my opinion. And once people get on that Bitcoin standard, I believe that their marriages, their relationships, eventually um, will be without the problem of lacking money.
I think that's such a great explanation. Thank you. And I look at like different people in the space, like obviously Max and Stacy, and then there's the crypto couple, and there's these wonderful people who are just like they're on the mission together, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
I, of course, every relationship is going to have ups and downs about everything because it's not just money. But when you're mission driven together, whether you're a couple, a family, a company, a community, anything, like you have a lot more. Um, I think fortitude and resilience to move through trouble together, because we're always going to have bumps and trouble in the road. But if we're still kind of moving through as mission driven, relationships, it gives us more, I think, just more capacity to withstand, the storms that are around. What, you touched on suicide and mental health and everything. What's your, um, you said you had a spiritual awakening like last year at the Bitcoin conference. I want to hear more about that. Like even deeper. Like I'd love to hear like how has that impacted you today? Like how has that opened you up as a new human today? Mhm.
Oh, that's a great, great question, and something I really want to get into. But I also know it's going to take some time. And unfortunately, I looked at the clock, and I have some commitments internally here
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No.
involving kids that I
Okay, part
need
two.
to attend.
We're gonna do round two with our because I know you and I talked about getting together again. So that's gonna be
Yeah,
fun. We'll
yeah, and
unpack that.
yeah, and you said yeah, yeah. But it's such a beautiful thing, honestly, and yeah. So stay tuned for part two.
Part two.
So
It
appreciate you having me on. It's been great. It's been great just hanging out, talking with you. And come back to our spaces again. We're doing Twitter Spaces. If you follow, me and Puppy there on Twitter. You'll see when we go live, but that's 11 a.m. I know you know it, but I'm mentioning it,
Yeah,
for
say it
your
out loud so
viewers.
everybody, so the listeners can hear it, because I'll turn this into a podcast. We'll put it up on Apple and Spotify and Fountain and everything. I'm starting to get on the Fountain uh, train
Oh,
over there.
cool,
Yeah, so it's
cool.
just slowly but surely it's growing out here with the tech stack and figuring out how this all works. So, thank you so much. Any final words for the audience that you want everybody to know today on Wednesday? Afternoon, about Bitcoin, about yourself, about love, life, possibility, hope. Yee-hoo.
Yeah, I can talk 2 hours about that. So we're definitely going to do that on episode 2. No, but if people want to join us for Toxic Happy Hour then Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. PST on
Oh,
Twitter,
shoot.
I'm at,
Did
yeah.
I write it the wrong way? It's 11, not, I think I wrote
Oh,
12.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's actually 11 a.m.
Okay.
Pacific time. That's okay. At 12, we're still running. So
Okay.
it's
Okay.
good.
11 to
People,
2. Okay. My bad.
no problem.
It's
11,
typed.
yeah. All good. And so on Twitter, I'm at Anders_. Poppy is at Poplord Hoddle. So if people follow, they'll know when we go live. And anyone can join and ask us questions. Where there's a panel, people get the mic, they can ask questions. But love to get back to your question there about the whole positive, this spiritual sort of awakening, because it's been, I think, a just great thing in my life. Bitcoin brings beauty and love and truth.
That's right.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to coming back and looking forward just to talk with you again, for
Yeah, it's
sure.
going to be great. I'm so excited, and I'll be dropping into your Twitter Spaces and saying aloha. And yeah, I'm so grateful, and thank you again for taking all this time. And you're very generous with your time. I know it sounds like you've had a big long day of talking with everybody. So yeah, let's hey everybody, let's take a big inhale before we say goodbye, just because that's a nice way to close off an episode. And
Oh,
exhaling. Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
so let me say on that note, if
Yeah.
you like that, you want to be on our Twitter space
Mhm.
on Fridays at 12 noon Pacific time. We have
Okay. Okay.
Farmer Jen from Australia that is doing a 5 minutes breathing exercise with her. And I know it sounds fluffy, duffy, but everybody loves it. It's
It's
great. So Friday, 12 noon PST in our Twitter spaces.
okay, noon PST. And you said Farmer Jen?
Farmer Jen.
Okay, cool.
Um,
Love it. I'm gonna go follow Farmer Jen, um, and put that out there. Yeah, breathing is like it's the most powerful tool we all have that we have with us 24/7. And it can
yeah.
help us get grounded. It helps us get present. It helps us, just remember, like, wow, I have so much gratitude with this moment of breathing, and I'm here now, and I'm so happy. So I can't wait. That'll be so cool. Yay. All right, cool. All right, everybody, peace, love, and granola. Thank you so much, DJ Great Dane Anders, for the Bitcoin Peace and Music podcast. I'm your host, DJ Valerie B. Love. Aloha, aloha. Mwah. All right, my friend, I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
cheers, baby.
Cheers.